Welcome to Mumbition, the podcast for business-owning women by Mums & Co, where we share inspiring stories of Australian mums in business. I'm Kerry Kwan, the co-founder of Mums & Co, and I will be joined each week by our community manager, Lucy Kippist. Together, we'll discuss how our guests harmonise their ambition, livelihood and well-being. Let's get into the inspiring stories now. In the spirit of reconciliation, Mums & Co acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. We pay our respect to elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today. Kindness is crucial at Mums & Co. It's one of the behaviours that demonstrates our values of empowering ambition, deeply collectively caring and delighting people. The world can be a difficult place to inhabit sometimes, and it's often mums who bear the brunt of the impact. Add to the fact that motherhood can also be isolating, much like a small business journey. In this environment, kindness is also a truly valuable and standout quality. And when combined with digital connection and digital serendipity, this can be seriously powerful. Mea Campbell is a perfect example of this in action. Mea is the founder of Connected AU, an online community she started to help ease the loneliness sweeping Australian communities by delivering programs that provide CBC digital connection, community, and friendship. She joins us here today to share the story of her thriving business. Mea, welcome to the Mumbition podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a big thrill to come and chat with you today.
Now, our very first question is, we love to hear about what you're doing, your business, and we think that women should embrace every opportunity they have to make introductions as well as connect with customers. So please, would love to hear you share your elevator pitch.
All right. So my elevator pitch is, my name's Mea Campbell. I'm the founder of Connected AU, which is a purpose-led business fighting loneliness across Australia. We deliver national programs to provide connection and community to people and create real connection and real impact across the country by delivering programs.
I love how you describe it, fighting loneliness, because it is a fight, isn't it?
The issue of loneliness and isolation has really come to the forefront of everyone's mind and conversation now. Loneliness and isolation are pre-existing health and community issues. Loneliness is a risk factor, equal risk factor for mortality as smoking and obesity. It's linked to all sorts of comorbidities, so increased risk of stroke, CV disease, lots of significant negative health outcomes. So I think that's why we've been able to have so much momentum, because it's something everyone relates to. It's so widespread.
What do you love about your business right now?
Right now, it's wonderful to just feel. It's probably just the feeling that we're a little more established now. So, and just all the positives that come with that feeling. So 18 months ago, when I first started it nearly 2 years ago now, there was huge growth, and that really happened for the first 12 months. There was just this fast growth, and it just felt like, even though it was wonderful, it just felt like we were constantly on this momentum that we couldn't really stop. And you know that feeling when you're wonderful opportunities and it's really positive, but you just don't ever feel like you're actually getting on top of things or getting a handle on things. And I feel like we've just sort of reached that peak where the programs are running really smoothly. We've got program managers running them, things like our tech is all in order now and all our platforms. And it just feels at the moment like we've got a sense of control over everything and we're all comfortable with the pace. It's still growing and there's still all these exciting opportunities, but it's a feeling of just being comfortable, I guess, now.
I was thinking about leaps. I'm not sure how, I believe you've got a young one at the moment, or toddlers. They're kind of just adapted to a little bit chaotic at first, and they go through a bit of, more established routines, and then you're thrown into the deep end with another new thing. So it's a phase, all right? You're kind of going through.
Yeah, that's right. And I like considering that connection, I guess. It has been a little bit like having a child, and you get on top of one thing and then it changes and you're constantly sort of chasing your tail. But thankfully right now it's fairly comfortable and calm.
And just on that, what have you found in terms of being the transferable skills between business and motherhood?
I think mothers have a bit of a head start in business. You probably don't feel that way to begin with, because you also have so many extra things to juggle. There are so many challenges. You've spoken about that. And, that's something that you really focus on. All of the challenges. There's wonderful benefits. But I certainly think women or mothers have some extra skills that you just subconsciously develop. One of them is being able to multitask. I feel like it's certainly in our business journey anyway, the ability to multitask has just been life-saving, especially when we had growth in so many areas last year. So we have corporate sponsors, we have government involvement, we've had individuals in the community, schools, businesses, multiple programs, so lots of media. So the ability to just multitask and be able to focus well on lots and lots of different things and really give importance to each of them. So that's certainly been something. And also the ability to negotiate. And I don't know if that's all mothers, but I feel like my previous career was as a lawyer, and I feel like negotiation skills is just really good in conflict resolution. When you're a mum, everyone develops it. You have to negotiate and you have to pick your battles and figure out, is that, ice cream worth us really, having a battle about, or should I not, how can I negotiate it? So I feel like that has worked well. And especially with this journey that I've been on, I've been really lucky to be able to have staff and move down that channel of having people working for me with the programs. And I felt like that's come into play really nicely. Being able to negotiate, but even further than that, being able to identify individuals' characteristics and personalities, and that's similar. I think that's something for motherhood. Your children are all very different, and how you manage or interact with one child's different to another child, and they have different needs and strengths and weaknesses, and that has helped me in terms of staffing, certainly, because I've had different staff and they're all very different.
That's a fascinating one. I think we do have to be on our A game when we're talking to them, and we do have to really kind of be in tune, like listen to what they're actually saying and what they're really concerned about. And that takes a patience. And then of course you've gone up into a hostage negotiation type tactics and and the art of influencing there. So amazing.
Mea, Carrie and I had the wonderful opportunity of meeting you not so long ago, well, a few months ago now, actually feels like a lifetime, but probably back in May as we were preparing for our Be Empowered conference. And at the time we were talking, and, you were talking about the momentum that you'd referred to there being sort of, unexpected in lots of ways. And you've also just shared there with us about how you do use your motherhood skills in business. But I'm just wondering, what is it that you've had to stop doing in order to make life work for you, so make the business work and home life work?
Yes, it is a clear winner in that answer, and I feel like probably the majority of your community who've gone through something similar to me would agree. Unfortunately, it is. So what, for me anyway, unfortunately it's a bit of self-care, and I know one of your other questions is along that theme. And so for me, the priorities have just had to be family, obviously first, and then business second. And then, I have really stopped just being able to enjoy, I guess, exercise and, just relaxation and doing things for myself and taking time out to really take care of yourself. So nurturing yourself. I certainly still try and get in a quick walk or go for a run or, whip up a quick omelette, but it's certainly on another level. It's not enjoyable. It's more rushed, and that's absolutely had to be sacrificed, which is really disappointing. And I absolutely can see the negative effects or impacts on me of not being able to do that when you're just entirely focused on looking after your family and everything, your household, and then focused on the business entirely. I am hoping, or the way I was able to talk to myself about it last year was, it's not going to be for a long time. That was my rationale last year, was it'll just be for a little while until we can get on top of things, and then I'll be able to really carve some time out for myself to get back into being healthy and really looking after myself. I'm not there yet though, so I don't know. It's certainly not as easy as I'd hoped.
Thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that is a very common experience, and not everyone, particularly I think with all of the of the rhetoric, if that's the right word to use, around social media, particularly in relation to this, with the shoulds and the musts around that. And I love that you've just acknowledged there that it is actually very, very hard /
Yes.
impossible at times to achieve that. And I think what I'm hearing there too is to be able to justify that time.
And this is a daily striving. It's not like we're going to just get there. It's not like we have everything that's neatly in these, areas and we can allocate. I think we just have to be okay with scaling things up or scaling things back, or you have to kind of keep harmonizing those elements that are important to you, because you cannot drop them completely.
No.
But sometimes one of them is going to be a little bit more front of mind than the other one.
Absolutely. You refer to your triangle, the pillars that you have, or the shape. And I know you ask people, the shape, or the shape that comes to their mind for a good life. And for me, what pops into my mind, I guess it's a wave, so not technically a shape, but someone once told me that life is just like a wave. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, and sometimes different things are up and down. So if at the moment, unfortunately, self-care is down and I'm just really focused on family and work, that's how it is, and it ebbs and flows. And I guess the struggle is trying to just balance it so they're not so extreme. So at the moment it's fairly extreme for me. It's pretty fairly, focused on business and family, and absolutely not much focus on self-care. So I guess the juggle is just balancing it a bit so they're not as huge crashes.
They'll come back. I promise you. I've had 9 years in the first business, and we just turned 5 here at Mums and Co. So that is the cycle, and that is, at some point you'll be like, I'm all about me, and I've ticked all my fitness goals this week, and the business is in a good place. Like the business family they're in a nice momentum, so you can ease back, and you got some workflows that are in place that help you automate or help you claw back some of that time.
Yes,
so
I think it's also probably just getting experience. So my working life before this has just been as a professional working for firms. I haven't worked for myself before. So I've gone on, done a great job, gone home and not had to really, I've managed matters, but I haven't had to manage a business before. So I think a little of it is just going to be me learning how to make decisions, not just about business, but about everything. So, for instance, I really thought that my goal was to be able to be in a position to hire. I had staff working for me, but one of our programs are online hobby groups. So I'll just give you a bit of a background. Our main program is the Letterbox project. It's a pen pal program across Australia. It's just grown because of my legal background, I built in this really solid safety. It's really complex management and logistics behind it. And so that's taken care of itself. We have a phenomenal amount of work on that for automations and systems. Our second program are online hobby groups. So you can go online, you can join a book club or a cooking club, and it's all just about giving people connections. So someone who mightn't have any connection, it's mums at home with toddlers, it's retirees, it's women on properties who just feel a bit lonely. And that was getting to a point and I needed to hire someone. But that's a learning for me, is that's never going to be the case where you can just hire someone and your workload will reduce. It hasn't happened that way at all. In fact, I've probably been busier. So that's one lesson that I've learned. And the second thing that I think I will need to learn, and you have both probably come across it, is just to say no or not now, I guess. So because so many wonderful things kept coming, media would come, and so I'd say yes to all of that because you needed that exposure. I needed to build that over the 12 months to get my corporate sponsors. So it was yes, yes, yes to everything. And then I had corporate businesses wanting to get involved in the letters. So I'd have Deloitte called and they had 450 staff wanting, and then Expedia and Discovery and all these different companies. I was like, yes, yes. Okay, we're getting them on board now. That meant like a whole new logistics and workflows. And then I've just seemed to keep doing that, even right now. So we've upgraded our platform in the last month. And even right now, we have 2 new partners coming on board in addition to Tetley. And I could manage all that. But Hallmark have reached out, and where I had the opportunity to work with them on a letter writing kit. That's just a great opportunity that I didn't want to let go. There's also Interflora. They've reached out wanting to do competition and a giveaway. And this is perfect timing, this interview, because I might ask you what your advice is, because I just as soon as I saw it come through, I was just exhausted thinking, I do not have time, or I have a yes thing. So I think that's my issue.
First of all, I'm super, super happy that you got all these opportunities, and it's obviously you're onto a good thing, which is amazing. I have 3 pieces of advice. It has to be what you want.
Yes.
So, when you're onto a good thing, everyone, I think, wants a bit of, a bit of that piece of the action or the piece of the pie. And that's amazing. But what happens is that sometimes it's always on someone else's agenda. So it's actually, where do you want to focus? Right? It comes back to what you really want to do. And if they align, fantastic. But if they don't in any way, it's actually going, it sounds amazing, but right now I need to focus on this. We have this partnership prospectus because we really believe in partnerships as a strategic objective. As Sarah, who's our chief of staff, she actually spends a lot of time creating amazing partnerships, and she wants to hear from people. But it has to be the right people. So it's actually figuring out, what is the objective of your partnerships? What are you looking for? Are they aligned to your values? Just going through the basics of saying, here's a framework. If you want to partner with us, you have to meet this criteria. And what I'm really looking for is someone at this, it could be grassroots, or it could be we just want corporates, or whatever it is. It's actually kind of crafting out who your ideal partner is. And then the third is probably you're perfectly within your own rights, and I encourage you to say yes, but not now.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to say, we absolutely think the best time for this will be in 3 months' time, or in 6 months' time, or a year time, just to give you that breathing space, because sometimes you don't know them. You actually kind of want to have a bit of engagement beforehand as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. To be honest, I've known for a little while I probably need a business coach, someone who can really help me make these decisions and just go over some strategy with me, and just that person, the sounding board, to say, what, this is what you should do. What's really important to you, Mea? Of these 10 things on your plate, what's really important? And I know that, but business coaching is, obviously it's an added expense, and you need time to engage really well in that. So that's in my plans as well in the future.
We can help you with that, Mea, when you're ready.
Yeah,
we can help you with that.
You can just help with so many things. That's why I think I love your community, just the connections and the trusted connections. And I think, Lucy, that's what we spoke about at the exchange when I spoke to you. One of the challenges I found is knowing whose advice to take and who to engage with, because it's so easy now to say you're a professional. I'm a professional Facebook ads person. I'm a professional, whatever it is, marketing agency. And I've had a few really bad experiences with people that seem really good on paper. I think I'm fairly good at doing my due diligence and looking into them, and they really haven't worked out at all. So it's how do you know who to trust? And I have found recommendations have probably been the safest and the best for me, just people recommending other people to use.
So Mea, we know that you're a passionate community builder and supporter. Can you tell us about your co and how they support you?
Yes, so really well. And you would both know that it's not just you who makes sacrifices, is it, when you're doing something like this? So on a family level, certainly my husband, he's picked up the slack in a lot of areas when I've had really busy weeks, and that's more of a juggle now, or more of a balance now between both of us. So he's been helpful in that regard. The girls, even my children, even my 2 girls they've been really supportive and understanding, and, and people probably don't ever consider the children, but they're like, okay, like my 10-year-old daughter, she understood that I'm coming in here, toddler not so much, but understood that I was coming in here, and she understands that. And so she, even if she needs something, she will just wait for this to be over. So certainly family. And then on a wider scale, I think where I'm based regionally, you make these wonderful connections with, I've found predominantly women in this network that I've found. And so there's been people like Georgie Robertson, who has helped me with a lot of the PR, learn how to navigate the PR. My graphic designer, Emma Barrett, is in one town over. Web developer came on board. So I've been able to come into this network of other rural and regional women that I've found really supportive.
For other women that might be listening right now thinking, is, based in a rural area or a regional area, what do you think is a tip? What's your number one tip for anyone who's contemplating that in an area like yours to start a business?
Network, absolutely network, which is, that's the foundation of your business, isn't it? So it's not a new concept, but being open to networking. And I don't mean the traditional local networking where you go to a local business networking event. It can be anything. So it can be social media, Instagram. So for instance, my graphic designer, Emma Barrett, who I mentioned earlier, she did some work for another photographer out here, Clancy Job. I don't know if you know of her, but she does phenomenal photography. So she's done all my photography off that connection. And then Georgie Robertson, the media, my PR agency was another connection. So I think it's just being open to those connections. So when someone says, oh, I've worked with her before, you're like, okay, what's her number? I'll get in touch and give her a call. So it's just being open to networking connections and putting yourself out there a bit as well, having to put yourself out there and be social.
Connected AU is a business model based on kindness, which is something that we celebrate here too at Mums & Co. So how does the value of caring and kindness permeate the day-to-day running of your business, do you think?
It's been an interesting juggle as well. So it's one thing to have a mission, such a clear mission and passion, and to start something. But it did snowball, and you just have such passion, and there is so much kindness and focus on the good that you're doing and the impact. But at some point it has to become a business as well. And so that has been a bit of a juggle, because sometimes it's the day-to-day running. And so, for instance, the program of the Letterbox Project, there's a program manager and people who read the letters, and sometimes I go in there and read some of the letters, and what I would have 12 months ago or 18 months ago been like, oh my gosh, like that is just so wonderful, and spent time and really enjoyed seeing all this kindness being shared. Now it's, you probably have to sometimes just focus on the business. So I've found it a bit of a juggle to be able to have to just really always remember what we're doing and why we're doing it for, and stay focused on what it is that we're doing. So that has been a small juggle.
And for I think thousands of vulnerable Australians, Connected AU is really their front line of mental health. How does this role in wellbeing shape your approach to business risk? And what types of processes and measures do you put in place to protect your business in that sense?
That's a great question. It's really complex. So just a few of the little things. I am lucky with my background in law, because when I first started the Letterbox Project, so first started this, I was very risk focused. And so I identified all the risks and how I could mitigate them all. So even the fact that it's just a pen pal program, it became what it has become because the processes and safety that I've set up. So we don't share any we don't share any personal information or identifiable personal information, and all of the letters are vetted through our team, which is why it's grown, and that's why everyone is really enjoying it and trusting it. But that's huge in itself. So 500 letters a week are coming in and being sent, and as you can imagine, so we have thousands of people on our systems. And that all requires automations and a lot of complicated computer technology workflows that I didn't do, obviously had to outsource all of that. But so I've built in some really strong security and safety so that it's protecting us, but also so we're protecting everyone. And that's why I had to so quickly figure out funding and my revenue and how am I going to generate income, because I needed people to read all of the every single letter is vetted. So I needed people to do that, and I needed people to manage this entire workflow system with thousands of automations going. Like if you sign up to write a letter, you don't just receive an email with your person. You receive a welcome email and then an email with your recipient, and then we tell you when we've got your letter, we tell you when they've received your letter, we tell you when a letter's on its way back to you. So so many systems. So that's safety. And then our second program, which are the online hobby groups that I mentioned, again, it's all focused on risk. How do you mitigate that? What's the best way for us to be really protected and everyone else? And so that is why I needed the staff member, the manager of each of those clubs, because everything's monitored. So that there's a group chat where everyone talks about their recipes and shares photos of their dinner that they've cooked, wherever it might be. And she's there. She's a full-time manager. She manages that. She hosts the monthly event on Zoom where we all cook. So there's that constant management and safety. And I think it's so important. It's so important in any business, but certainly because my focus is on supporting vulnerable people, it needed to be just more. It needed to be so focused on protecting everyone.
It's fascinating just to get an insight into, there's that personal element, which is picking up things, but also your automation cycles, which are, I think that's a really exciting area. And in some ways, this is my inner digital geek, in terms of, how AI might play a part in that and, at some point. So really exciting.
It really is. I have been pleasantly surprised at how interested I have actually found the tech behind all of this, and also data. So if you're that way inclined, you would love to see behind the scenes. So we have so much data at our hands now, over 20,000 people, and that's also why we needed really, really strong protection on our cybersecurity side of it. But so where people are telling us why they need a letter, so it might be, and that we categorize them. So it might say, I had breast cancer 3 years ago, and now I've just developed really, really severe anxiety from that. And so I'm not social and I'm really lonely and I'd like a pen pal. So we categorize everything, and we obviously de-identified, but we have ages and all those demographics. And so we might be able to say to you that in Melbourne, in this particular postcode, 72% of the people that wrote letters fall into the category of a physical health issue. So they've had a physical health issue, and then they've transitioned out of that, and maybe there wasn't any supports in that area for mental health once you have a significant physical health issue. So there's a lot of data behind it, and that will be interesting. I don't have the time now, and we're capturing it all, and we're certainly using it in a small way, but I think over time that data will be really, really useful.
Yeah, to help more. So amazing. Now, Mea, in the spirit of women supporting women, I know that you've mentioned a number of amazing women so far. Who are the Mumbitious that you would like to say hello to?
So there's there are so many women, and this is not to disregard anyone's help. I've had so much help from so many wonderful people. But one person who has been the most helpful, so integral in everything and so lovely is my partnership manager, Laura Hall. I think she is part of your community. So she's in Sydney, and she's a partnership just guru is what I say about her. And I've recommended her to about 8 or 9 women in this rural network, and they've all followed up with her, and she's all been able to help them. So she's been really helpful to me. She came on board when I didn't have a partner, and she was the reason we have Tetley. So she signed on Tetley within 2 weeks of reaching. It only took her 2 weeks to sign on this. It's really significant, that partnership. It enabled us to have staff in an office. It's really significant. So she was phenomenal. But it's not just how good she is at her job. She's just a wonderful person, and she's really helpful. So if anyone reaches out to her, she does everything she can to help them.
Cue an inundation of queries.
Yeah.
Amazing. We hope you've enjoyed today's podcast. If you'd like to follow Mea, you can find her on her Instagram account at connected_AU. And if you haven't already come and joined our Mumbitious supportive movement of thousands of Australian business owning women just like you, come and visit us at mumsandco.com.au. Mea, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for your company as well. It's been fascinating. And all the best for the amazing work that you are doing at Connected AU. Want to say hello?
Hello, what's your name?
Remy.
Remy, hello.
Nice to meet you. So Remy's actually just written his first letter. He's actually written to some of his school friends who he hasn't been able to see whilst he's been in lockdown.
That's wonderful.
So is there any question that you'd like to ask me about?
How often should you write to your friend?
I think it depends on how much time you have, but we have seen some really beautiful connections made between people when they are writing about once a month. So it's not too much for them, but it's enough to stay in touch. And so every month you're checking in and seeing what's happening in their life. So I think once a month is a pretty achievable amount.
Thank you.
That's okay.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Mumbition by Mums & Co. Head over to the show notes for a full transcript of the interview and any links we have referred to. Mums & Co is Australia's most caring business network for women. Join us today for just $30 at mumsandco.com.au. This podcast was produced and edited by Morgan Sebastian Brown of Brown Tree Productions and hosted by Kerry Kwan, co-founder of Mums & Co, and community manager Lucy Kippist. We love hearing your feedback, so if you haven't already, Please share, rate and review this podcast, and we can reach more business owning mothers just like you.